The Baltimore Ravens have reworked the contract of Lamar Jackson. Sources say the restructure with Jackson creates about $40 million in cap space for 2026, similar to what Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen have done this offseason for their respective teams. That from Adam Schefter this morning as we continue to see more sort of a fallout in this offseason of what things will look like for Baltimore. To be clear, while we started the show talking about the fact that Max Crosby is no longer a Baltimore Raven, that trade is off the table, we also told you in the beginning of this show that Trey Hendrickson is now a Baltimore Raven. So creating this salary cap space was still going to be a necessity, something that, frankly, according to reports, Caroline, was all but done yesterday. They just hadn't announced it yet. So now we get at least the notification of how the Ravens are creating salary cap space.
First of all, let this be one of many lessons to NFL fans out there, especially at this time of year, free agency time of year, that if the owner of your team is telling you that they can't sign a certain player in free agency because of cap space, it's because they just don't like that player. If they wanted to, they would. It's dating advice, and it is also NFL roster construction advice. If the Ravens wanted to sign Trey Hendrickson, or if the Max Crosby trade went through, all they had to do was tinker things here, move things around there, whoop, 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 carry the one, cap space is created. The cap is a piece of putty in all of our hands, so you can shape it, inform it however you want. So the Ravens can just simply snap their fingers and $40 million of cap space just appears. It's crazy how things work like that. But I will go back to, and I've heard a lot of people saying the fact that the Ravens made this cap space is proof that they were planning on signing Max Crosby all along. I do believe that the Ravens believed that Max Crosby was going to be a Baltimore Raven until Trey Hendrickson was on the street all of this time. I think we all assumed that Trey Hendrickson would be snatched up as soon as free agency began, but that wasn't the case. So sometimes your plans change. Everybody has a plan until they get smacked in the mouth. Somebody said that. Was it Michael Jordan? I don't know. Somebody
Mike
said
Tyson.
that. But that was, there it is. Thank you. Just a different Michael. I believe that was the Ravens' plan, was for Max Crosby to be a Raven until the Trey Hendrickson price dropped. After 2 days on the free agent market, your price adjusts, things change. So the Ravens were going to have to make this cap space no matter what, whether it was Max Crosby or Trey Hendrickson or insert any other free agent signing that the Ravens have to make. Making this cap space was a necessity. It's just the difference of who's going to be taking it up. In this case, it's Trey Hendrickson.
Well, I think it's also important to note that the Ravens can't be done with this offseason. No matter what happens now moving forward, obviously no longer Max, but they bring in Trey Hendrickson. They lost 7 significant players in the first 48 hours of free agency. Now, they might be dipping back to some of them and trying to figure out ways to get around that financially, but I doubt that because, to your point, Lamar's extension was already, or Lamar's restructuring, I should say. As of right now, the reports are it is not an extension, it is just a restructuring. So the restructuring of the money created the space for Trey Hendrickson. As we noted earlier, Trey ends up signing for almost the exact amount of salary cap hit that would have been there for Max Crosby. So it's really a wash for the Ravens. They are going to have to figure out how to address holes on their roster, though. Like that, nothing changes the fact that the Ravens right now have a new head coach, a new offensive coordinator, new faces in the building, 7 less players than they had 48 hours ago. They've got some questions they're going to have to answer for a team that I always give benefit of the doubt to because I think the Ravens are a really well-run organization. Right now, I think that the Ravens have probably a lot more question marks than most of us are used to assigning to a team as prominent and established a franchise as perceived as stable as Baltimore. They have a lot to replace. You see the list there. It's more than 7 at this point. They have a lot to replace on this. And, frankly, Trey Hendrickson is a nice addition, but that alone is not going to be enough to catapult the Ravens to where they want to be.
That list is staggering, first of all, especially when you look at the caliber of some of those names, specifically Taylor Linderbaum, one of the best centers in the NFL. How concerning should it be to Ravens fans that 3 of those free agents that they've lost, Isaiah Likely, Jordan Stout, their punter, which punters are people too, and Darius Washington, a safety, are all heading to New York, are all heading to follow John Harbaugh?
I think that's the inevitability of a coach change like this, right? Like you want the guys you're comfortable with. We've seen that in Tennessee too, where it just feels like they're flocking to everybody. In fairness, we saw that from Vrabel. Vrabel brought a lot of former people he had experience with him to the Patriots and had much better results with them. I think you expect some of that, but Caroline, to your point, it does at least tell us that the waters are not as steady in Baltimore simply by nature of a new person leading the ship.
I think the difference there is the Tennessee Titans are terrible. Like, they don't have a path to being good, much less a Super Bowl that's overly clear of the next couple of years. The Ravens are trying to win the Super Bowl right now. That's very clear and very obvious, or at least they should be. When you have one of the best quarterbacks on the planet in Lamar Jackson, you are going for it. That's the entire reason why they traded for Max Crosby in the first place. That's the reason why they're signing Trey Hendrickson. That's the reason why they're making all of these moves, restructuring Lamar Jackson's deal to free up $40 million of cap space. The Ravens are in a Super Bowl window right now. So when you see the sheer volume of players that are leaving the building, it's at least a little bit of a red flag to me. Now, like you said, we're only 2 days into free agency. There are plenty of moves that are left to be made. And also, the Ravens get their first round pick back this year and also next year, but they have the 14th overall pick. I mean, ideally, with the 14th overall pick, you're getting a plug and play difference maker, change maker right away. So that changes things as well. That changes their free agency approach, or at least it should change their free agency approach. But for a team that's trying to win right now, it's at least a red flag for now until we see more moves come down the pipe.
And I do think that the Super Bowl expectations have to be part of this. Like, when you talk about major change for an organization that's consistently considered to be a Super Bowl contender, we've seen that from the Ravens. We've seen that from the Bills this year. We saw, change at head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we've talked a lot about a team like the Steelers also. We see these changes coming for certain brands in the AFC that we perceive to be very good, Caroline. You're making that change to get to a Super Bowl. There might be a small step back for some teams, but if you're trying to capitalize on this window of Lamar, you can't even afford the small step back if you're the Ravens, at least in your thinking. Like, I don't think we'd have grace and understanding if the Bills were saying, we're going to take a small step back, but then we're going to ramp up again for Josh Allen. That's just the fact is, when you have a multi-time MVP, the expectations are different.
1,000%. Especially when the Ravens have been knocking on the door of a Super Bowl for as long as they have, especially when they're coming off of a year where they missed out on the postseason altogether, especially in a year when they moved on from a very well-respected and legendary head coach in John Harbaugh. Just because you're making all of these changes doesn't mean that the expectations go away.